Okay, it's May 21st, 2021. Interview number 6 with Rob from a tree. How you
Rob
doing,
in a tree.
Rob?
I'm good. I'll just acknowledge it's a little bit of a stage situation, but this is my favorite tree, and it's representative of I'm back home
Mm.
after a very long journey, after the journey of the walk itself.
Yeah, so it's been over a week now since you've been
Yeah,
back.
well, yeah. So it was the 9th, and now so it's been more than 10, like 12 days, nearly 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
And I
since it
did,
ended, and it
yeah.
so sorry, I'm already spilling into the story. It took so long to, quote, recover from the walk emotionally. I was just, there were days and days of like, what was the point? What now, what, and who cares? Why did I do that? Just all this kind of negative talk was coming up, and like down on myself, that I couldn't just merge back into reality here. And it was surprisingly difficult for those days and days and days that I was trying to reintegrate, so to speak. I don't even know what language to use here, but like to come back to the normal world and go to work and stuff. I sure didn't want to go to work those first, like the day after, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, had to go back to work and stuff. It was very, very tough.
Did you have any of those doubts on the walk? Like, why am I doing
No,
this?
it was, I mean, I knew like, okay, the walk is going to end and I have to work again, but I had no sense. I mean, I thought, in fact, it would be the opposite, that I'd be like, yay, I did the walk, hooray, and it was quite the opposite. Is like, oh crap, now I did the walk, now what, kind of thing.
I see.
And that's the best way I can kind of characterize it from this point of view. But one of my very like close counselor friends said, there's a grieving as I've lost this identity, like, hey, I'm the guy walking across Japan, and now I'm not.
I see.
And there's this, he said there's a grieving process of losing this identity. And it's like, okay, it makes sense. It still doesn't make it feel any better, but it was really surprising to me how crappy I felt for days and days and days. And even to the point that Lynn was like worried that I didn't want to be married anymore, because I wasn't happy with, not that I wasn't happy, but I wasn't happy while around her. She's like, how are you? I'm like, and she's like, her brain is spiraling off like, oh my God, I've lost him, kind of thing. So it was bad in terms of like how crappy I felt. And so she's seeing me like, oh no, he doesn't want to be back home. And it wasn't that. It's just like, now I'm not walking. And so of course it sounds like that. And I couldn't explain it any, but I just feel like ass now, just like terrible. So, but I'm animated now. I did get over it. I want to tell that story. Go ahead. You have a question? No, if you do.
No, I'm just curious as to, did you all those feelings, was it stronger after the walk was over? But you had similar feelings on the walk, like, why am I doing this?
Well, yeah, that was like during the physical pain. I'm like, and at the end it was like, I just want it to be over. I just want it to be done, thinking I'd be happy when it was
Right, I
done.
I see.
Because it was physically arduous, if that's the right word, that
Yeah.
was walking and walking and walking, even with sandals on, some of the time. It was really difficult for me. I mean, I'm just not used to that kind of endurance. But
so
and
just
it's boring in a way after a while. And it's like, okay, another cool manhole cover. Couldn't even get my phone out to take a picture of manhole covers in some cases. So
And what was the
I was
total?
tired.
What's the total number of kilometers that you walked?
I'm guessing 370 because I had one day missed that was chasing around a new phone
Right.
because that was like my, connection to the map
Yeah.
and the world. So I'm,
And it was every day for 23 days, right?
24 days, but missed a day. So yeah, 23 days.
Yep.
That
Okay.
Continuous walking, about 15K per day.
An amazing feat, no pun intended.
Thank you. No pun intended. That's right.
Okay, so then what's the insight you wanted to share, or
So one of my mentors, it's kind of like we're both mentoring each other because we're both kind of old, or like, we both mentored people. He's mentored more than me, but we're kind of like checking in with each other once a month. He recommended a book that, what was it? Whatever Arises, Love That. There's a comma in the middle of the 4 words, by Matt Kahn. And I was like, okay, I've heard of it before. I got to get the book, and fair enough, kind of thing. But I was like, how am I going to get the energy to get the book? I just blah. And I'd start to clean my room and reach into the back of my bookshelf to the second layer of books, and like what's this? And I pull it out, and that was the book. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll read this book now.
Yeah.
It was literally the first one that I touched. I had to move the books out of the way to get to the back row. I didn't consciously know it was there.
Wow. So did you know you even had it when he mentioned?
No, I think so. Yeah, that's
you didn't even know you
even
had
more
it.
important. I didn't even know I had it.
Wow.
Much less that it was literally right there. And so I started reading, and it's my version after just the first chapter, basically. Be gentle, be kind, you give myself time and love and love and love, and just whatever arises, love it, and just be, I don't know, like loving or kind. I don't have enough different ways to say it seems, and that's okay. So just, and that allowed me to much more quickly recover. That there was also 10 days that I found this book, and I was like, oh, okay, it's okay to be this way. And I allowed it to be okay. And then I went one step, no pun intended, one step further, and was thinking about what will my next thing be. And I like to walk around barefoot, and to me, it's completely normalized. I'm not attracted to feet or my own feet or whatever, but there are people who do like to see feet, like foot fetish. Okay, fair enough.
And you do, and you have, to be honest, you have unique feet. I mean, you got, quite large.
Right, they're wider than the average foot. I almost said the average bear, which is no, not the average bear, but
I mean, probably the biggest feet I've ever seen.
And yes, and anyway, they have attracted attention, and I thought maybe I can sell photos of my feet online. And I didn't want it to be just like, oh, like now kind of sexualizing and all of this kind of stuff. But I was thinking, maybe we can keep it in a level of the sensual world, like I'm physically feeling and connected to the world. And it just happens to be on a website where people are selling sex on other pages. And I called my photographer friend, who is also in the men's group, and was like, can I ask you some, he said, okay, yes, and can I ask you some questions? I'm like, sure.
Purpose.
And so he helped me recognize and I already knew it in my head. I was like, I don't want to dilute my branding of like connecting, heart to heart connection. And I don't remember exactly how we got to it, but he was talking about an artist who connected with her audience by allowing them to paint her, kind of thing. And I'll just leave a very short version of that. And she also did a version where she allowed people she just sat in a chair for 7 hours and looked at people eye contact wise, whoever came up. And I was like, I can do that. Not a 7-hour version, but I've done eye contact back before the pandemic. I was doing that. And there's a guy in Australia who's really like doing it professionally and has like started a revolution, so to speak, there. And I'm like, yeah, I would be fine being known as the guy who does eye contact, because it's really profound, like to simply be with someone beyond language, beyond like, any like, what am I wearing, or how much, how rich I am, or job, or whatever. Don't have to know anything about them, but the eyes are there, and it's like a human being and being present with the human. And in one of the first sessions, we did a workshop, one of the attendees was like, now I know who I am. And I was so happy to hear that. I'm like, yes, that exactly. I'm glad you came, because I mean, it's a common type of response that people like, oh, and find themselves. And I just kind of magic in a way, like how it works, I don't know, but it works and it's beautiful. So instead of him photographing my feet, he's going to photograph me, my face, as I'm gazing into the camera, just being present with the camera. Drop it down a little bit and drop down to the heart and just be present. And those photographs will be used to advertise and promote a day or days that I'll go into Shibuya. And instead of offering like free hugs, it'll be free eye contact. So it's a bit of a publicity stunt, but I'm planning to build like the community. Like, now that you've done it with me, here's a challenge, go to 2 of your loved ones and share this same experience. Just be present with them. And that was from your idea as well, to focus on the community aspect of it, because anyone can do it, but no one does it because we're so busy like looking at phones and whatever. So yeah, I'm excited now. And after like had that conversation with him, I was like, wow, cool, next project. And so it took time to gestate, and it went through this evolution of like sell foot photos. I'm okay, not going to do that, but eye photos, yes. And so it's exciting and scary at the same time. And so I know I'm on the right track when I get that balance of scary and exciting.
Yeah, something to look forward to work towards.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you can somehow also have photos of the feet and then share the story, after someone, if like, I'm thinking you might do it at Shibuya, right? Perhaps.
Yes. Yeah.
Then maybe people would also be interested in hearing about the journey. They'll go to the website, they'll see the videos, they'll see your pictures. Maybe you also have a picture of your feet, and they'll say, why a picture of the feet? And then you can, I thought, but I really, I love the idea of the eye contact. It's about really connecting with someone. And when I was teaching yoga actively, often I'd have people just look at each other and sometimes tears would just come down.
Yeah, exactly. That happened a lot.
Yeah. So it's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
So when you have a date for that, definitely have to let people know, get the word out.
Yes. I'm looking at like basically Friday, Saturdays in June, and maybe some Sundays after workout in Yoyogi Park. So yeah, definitely it'll be happening. Sundays are good, actually. Could go after the workout. I mean, just come make eye contact with the stinky, sweaty guy. Yay.
Yeah.
Maybe you should rethink that.
Or maybe do it before the workout if it's not too early.
Then it's kind of too early, but yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Great. Well, anything else from the walk? Any other insights or experiences you'd like to share?
I don't remember which ones I have shared in this format, but I guess repetition is okay. The last few days were really challenging, like in terms of just keep going, keep walking, and reminding myself to drop down into this moment instead of like future tripping, like, okay, when it's done, I'll blah, 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 I'll get some pizza, which I was really craving pizza at some points. But to remember to be here in this moment and slow down, take a photo or take a look around. And that took conscious effort to, like you maybe saw it happen here while I was speaking. I was like speaking very, very, very quickly. Okay, breathe. Come back to the present moment. Here we are, noticing the things around. And it took effort to get to there. And it was very helpful to do that because it brought more joy into the walk as I was experiencing it. So not sure how else to articulate it, but be here now is a very helpful way of being. And I'm happy to speak more about how to do that if people are interested.
Yeah, well, when we had the gathering after the walk at the park, definitely noticed your presence. And it seemed to affect everybody. Like really, really deep presence, really grounded. And
thank you.
It was palpable. And also and then the stories that you shared. It was pretty interesting because the intricate detail of things that, that we just pass by in daily life.
Right.
That was wild. It's like little teeny things,
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yes.
In the way you shared it, the pace of your speech and in the presence. It was pretty wild. I've thought about it it affected me for 2 days afterwards.
Oh, wow.
About it a lot.
That reminds me of a overview of beyond the walk. Before I came to Japan, I decided to see my own country, and I drove around 11,000 miles total. So it's like 18,000 kilometers, and saw almost nothing because I was driving and just like whizzing past everything to get to like the Grand Canyon. It was cool. Grand Canyon is amazing, but I was like, all right, that was too fast. I drove a lot, but I didn't see a lot. So I rode my bicycle in Japan. I rode from Tokyo to Kyoto, and it was cool, but still too fast. But this walking, that was slow enough.
Yeah.
I don't need to do like a prostrate version of like a real pilgrimage that sometimes people have taken. For me, this was slow enough just to walk. So I was glad to get down to a rate that could let me have a balance between seeing things and moving forward. So yeah, it was good.
Beautiful.
And I'm thinking of another walk eventually.
Nice.
With
definitely
some tweaks. But
it'd be interesting if people decide to join you for the second walk.
Yeah. And to that end, I will state up front, it was the days that I was alone were much more like mindful for me. And maybe my mind was spiraling sometimes, but it was easier for me to have a solo adventure than to have a group. It's a completely different energy in my sense of things. Dropping down into nature with zero relationships with people around me made a big difference than having like even people to talk to along the way. I was like talking and distracted from the walk. So I will likely focus on like have a like more solo adventure without people joining, but maybe people can join their own walks and I can recommend that for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Go for it kind of thing.
Well, we'll learn more about that when.
Yeah. We'll see if I'm right. Like I was so bored. Yeah.
But yeah, when you know the date for the eye contact event, let's definitely let people know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Will do.
But thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you too.
Quite an amazing feat. To be continued.
No pun intended.
No pun intended again.
To be continued. Cool. Yeah. Thanks,
Michael.
All right.
Have a good day.
Have a good one. You too.